Hello again, ladies and gentlemen. Can we talk about Die Hard? Yes, indeed, it's back to movies. It is the Can We Talk About podcast, and we are using our first Christmas special to scoff in the face of every actual Christmas movie and talk about this movie that has been at the center of a Christmas movie debate, possibly controversy, I would say, Kristen, for what seems like the last, a few years recent, I would think.
Yeah, when I suggested, I didn't realize that it was as contentious to the point where people started getting pissed off when you called it a Christmas movie. I thought it would be a funny joke, but joke's on me.
A few years late, Kristen, sorry.
Okay, right out the gate. I've never seen Die Hard until now.
Nor have I. I mean, I know of it, and I had seen bits and pieces of it. I hadn't seen the whole movie all the way through, but, you know, we're gonna go for it, and we're gonna determine if Die Hard is a Christmas movie. That's what I want this podcast to do. Kristen, this podcast...
Joe, don't say that off the gate, because people will turn this off, because they don't want to hear people talk about it. We're not actually gonna do that.
Well, we're gonna talk about the movie, too. At the end, we'll talk about it a little bit, but I want this podcast with a listener base of 20, not even 15, maybe. We're gonna
at least 2 of each of our friends.
We are gonna throw the gavel down. We are gonna do this. We are gonna determine if Die Hard's a Christmas movie after talking about it. So, come for the discussion of the movie itself. Stay for us posturing and
the only opinion that matters, us.
And claiming to be the only opinion that matters. Yes, thank you.
2 D-bags on the internet.
I am dashing through the snow. My name is Joe.
I am a one-horse open sick. I am Kristen.
And we are watching Die Hard via the wonderful world of Amazon Video, available to rent for 48 hours for 4 smackaroonies. It's not ideal, but Kristen, who the hell buys DVDs anymore? Am I right?
Not me. Also, in case you didn't catch it, I am sick and have been for 4 going on 5 days now, so I apologize if I sound like I started smoking and then smoked all the cigarettes in the universe between the last episode and this episode.
I don't think it's that noticeable.
Just enough to make everyone uncomfortable. Wash your hands after you listen to this podcast.
So yes, let's just talk about the star of our movie for a second, Kristen, in classic our podcast fashion. Talking about the star, we got a guy who's pretty much in line with the rest of the people that we've had previously, barring, again, Rick Moranis. And...
and John Travolta, right?
John Travolta's in line. John Travolta's had action movie roles.
I wouldn't compare him to the Kurt Russells and Bruce Willis's. Bruce Will-I.
The Bruce Will-I of the world. Let's talk about Bruce.
The Bruce Will-I am.
Let's talk about Bruce Willis here for a second. Does he have a role more associated with him than John McClane?
Married to someone. I can't even remember who.
Demi Moore?
No, that's Ashton Kutcher.
No, but he was married to Demi Moore before
first.
Ashton Kutcher. Right.
I just showed my age really badly.
Wasn't that a joke on The Soup really often about Ashton Kutcher being married to Demi Moore and Bruce Willis coming around the family every so often?
Joe, you were trying to take us back to, 2007 right now. I refuse to go there.
Okay. But yes, he was Butch in Pulp Fiction, and he was the dead guy in The Sixth Sense. But I don't think there are any other Bruce Willis series that have 4 sequels attached to them, the 2 of which, coming out in the last 10 years or so, I think. I mean, when I searched for Bruce Willis on IMDb, I got actor, Die Hard, so I think I answered my own question with that search there, at least.
Yep, the internet says we're good.
But he's big action guy. Again, he's very... We have pretty much... We haven't done an Arnold Schwarzenegger movie yet, have we? So he's the only one that we're missing for, the Planet Hollywood crew of Sly Stallone and Bruce Willis and Arnold Schwarzenegger now.
Yeah, I guess so.
Maybe we got Last Action Hero in our future or something like that.
God only knows.
And then we've got Hans Gruber, Kristen. He is our villain, played by the wonderful man who we unfortunately lost this year, Mr. Alan Rickman. Sir Alan Rickman, I think. I believe he was knighted.
I can't co-sign myself to that, but it sounds right.
He was Professor Snape. He was, I don't remember the character's name, but he was like a combination of Spock and Worf in Galaxy Quest. And one thing that I like about Alan Rickman, Kristen, is the trivia that he played Snape so well that J.K. Rowling's descriptions of Snape went from a greasy guy to Alan Rickman, basically.
Yeah. It's like, ooh, yeah, he's hunched over and emaciated, and actually he's kind of handsome. I changed my mind.
He cleans up really well.
And he and Gary Oldman have this sick old dude sexual tension.
Are they gonna kiss, Kristen? Is that something that we missed?
Okay. In the 5th book, there's some sexual tension.
J.K. Rowling starting to write her own fucking slash fics in the middle of her book.
She's like, shit, I can't stop thinking about how hot Alan Rickman is.
And, Kristen, I did not look up who plays Holly McClane. I forgot. And I don't know what
We tend to forget to look up the actresses, don't we?
Well, if it's not a name I recognize, I'm like, ah, fuck it, whatever, maybe.
Oh, our very first one with Big Trouble in Little China, you were like, well, I know who Kim Cattrall is, kind of, but who cares?
Sex in the City, whatever.
We had to rely on me knowing that she was in Sex in the City.
Yeah, true. Well, but she's there. She's good in this movie.
Yeah, she good. Whoever she is, mystery woman.
Mystery woman playing Holly McClane, but I think that'll be all that we need here for an introduction. We're going to take a microscope to this movie, and we, again, guarantee an answer. Is Die Hard a Christmas movie? And as such, we will start with one of the Christmassy elements of this, a song that I was very pleased to hear the appearance of in this movie, Christmas in Hollis by Run DMC.
Nice.
And then we'll start talking about the movie. So we start off, Kristen, we see the old 20th Century Fox logo. I'm back on logos, I'm sorry. And again, I know we've had this discussion before about this particular 20th century. I'm just going to stop talking about logos.
I wasn't going to say anything about it. You just harangued yourself without any help from me.
I played the part of you telling me to stop talking about logos.
I don't even need to say anything anymore because I know that you will say something for me.
We start off, there's airplane noises, there's a plane landing, and I saw a John McTiernan film, and I was like, fuck, I forgot to write about the director. So here we go. Clearly I'm out of practice with these movie things. John McTiernan, director of this movie, directed Predator and Last Action Hero, two of the finer Arnold Schwarzenegger vehicles, as well as The Hunt for Red October, which I only know as Sean Connery in a submarine, I think.
Yes, it is a submarine. I haven't seen any of those movies.
Ooh, not even Predator. Wow, Predator's a good movie too.
No. Like, Joe, I haven't seen The Terminator.
That's true. Okay. I understand. I get you. That's the major thing is I'm like, oh, this movie's good. And you're like, what?
See, we got a little bit too comfortable for a while with either, like, movies that we both had complete, like, well, I don't know anything about this on, or things that I suggested and knew pretty well. So we have returned to the original theme, I think, of our movie segments, which is let's shame Kristen for all the shit she hasn't seen.
So they're on an airplane here. Some dude notices that Bruce Willis is clutching his armrest quite nervously as the plane lands, and he's just like, hey, you know, the secret to air travel is you take off your shoes and socks when you arrive at the place you're going, you walk on the rug, you make fists with your toes.
All right.
Yeah, Bruce Willis's reaction is just about as confused as I was, which was just kind of him being like, what? Fist?
I thought he was just going to be like, hey, if you take off your shoes, your body understands faster that you're on solid ground again. But no. Make fists with your toes.
It sounds crazy, but trust me, better than a shower and a hot cup of coffee. I've been doing it for 9 years.
Thanks, businessman.
As Bruce Willis gets up here as well, the business guy notices that Bruce Willis is packing heat on an airplane, Kristen. Got a gun, just right there. There it is. I understand he's a cop, but I don't know what TSA regulations are in terms of cops carrying guns onto planes these days, but woo!
Yeah, within the first couple of minutes of the movie, we got Bruce Willis literally has a gun on an airplane, and then Bruce Willis begins to smoke in an airport. So, this really is the past.
Later we see that gas is 74 cents a gallon, too. Bruce assures the business guy that it's alright, he's a cop. He's been doing it for 11 years. And then he grabs a big-ass teddy bear from the overhead compartment and gets off the plane. And Kristen, I'm a little sad that we don't see the teddy bear very often in this movie.
Right? Though I do have to ask, which kid do you think the teddy bear was for?
Both. It was for both of them.
This is why he's a bad dad.
The title comes up on the screen, Die Hard. Here is where, yes, John McClane starts smoking in an airport, and we go right over to the Nakatomi building on the 30th floor here, where we're going to spend most of the movie. There's a Japanese businessman, Mr. Takagi, I believe is his name, right?
I don't remember.
He's meeting with some people, walking around. There's a very swanky party going on, and he congratulates his employees for another great year at the Nakatomi Corporation, which... this building, it must be their first year in this building because it's a big-ass building that's not yet complete. And Kristen, actually, I had read that the Nakatomi Plaza's building was filmed using the then unfinished headquarters for Fox Studios, I believe, something like that. 20th Century Fox.
Yeah, I was doing my little bit of Googling beforehand, too, and did see something about Fox building, so I only know of one Fox.
And it's not Fox Mulder of the X-Files.
Interesting joke.
David Duchovny.
Indeed.
So, yes, this is the Christmas party here, I'm guessing, for the Nakatomi Corporation. Do we know what the Nakatomi Corporation does?
Business.
I think they might be like a brokerage firm or something like... I don't know, because Ellis says something about, like, doing $1 million deals and things like... I don't know what... fuck it. It doesn't matter.
They have a lot of, like, apparently very good art hanging out in the building.
I don't know.
That's the best clue I got. They have a Touch Max in their lobby.
They do, yeah. They got a weird... they got a Mega Touch in the lobby.
Yeah.
So we see some businessman ask some business lady for dinner. This is Ellis and Holly McClane, or Holly Gennaro, as it were, here. Ellis is an asshole. That's all you really need to know about him. And he dies like an asshole. So, spoiler alert, Ellis dies like an asshole.
Yep. Not too many people in this movie actually die. I mean, people that aren't thugs.
people that aren't would-be terrorists or common thieves, as Hollywood put it.
Yep.
So, I don't know. First, I mean, I get that Ellis is an asshole. I don't know why he's going after a married lady here, because it's...
could it be because he's an asshole?
Because he's an asshole. He's asking for dinner, and Holly's like, it's Christmas Eve, family, chestnuts, Frosty the Snowman, and Ellis is like, well, I was thinking more wine and cheese and fireplace and...
That sounds good, but, like, alone. With him not near me. Wine, cheese, fireplace, me.
Holly's not very impressed by this display. She tells her very pregnant secretary to go out and join the party, and Ellis is just like, oh, this is the last chance. And then she gets on the phone and is just like, get the fuck out of here, Ellis. Jesus Christ. God, you're...
Go away.
God, you're shitty. God, get out of here, Rio.
Go do some coke.
Oh, yeah, I forgot.
Our later introduction to him, he's just straight up doing coke on the desk.
So Holly's calling her home, and her daughter answers, Lucy McClane speaking! Thank you, child actor.
Yep, great job, Cindy Brady.
She asks for the babysitter to come to the phone, and the little girl is just like, is Bruce Willis coming home for Christmas this year? And, maybe.
Yep, mom goes, his name is Dad. It's a movie, child actor. You can't call. He's not Bruce Willis.
Hey, we'll go to Planet Hollywood, and then maybe he'll be there. I don't know. Do you want to look at...
Did you ever want to meet Ashton Kutcher?
Am I Demi Moore?
Hang on. One sec. I need to talk to the director.
Paulina gets on the phone. She is the maid, I guess, housewoman, anything like that.
Nanny,
yeah. Mrs. McClane asks if Bruce Willis called at all. He didn't, but maybe they should make up the spare bedroom just in case, and Paulina is already on that shit, Kristen!
Oh, best nanny!
Mrs. McClane and Bruce Willis are on the outs, clearly, here. Holly and John McClane, not in the best of places, as we'll see, as she puts his picture face down. One thing I'm noticing here, Kristen, is as I'm reading my notes, I'm wrestling with the fact that I know very little about the characters at this point when watching the movie in my notes, so I only refer to Holly as Mrs. McClane, and I don't start referring to John McClane as such until a bit later in the movie.
Which is a little bit disappointing, because, come on, Joe, even I knew that Bruce Willis's character was named John McClane in this movie.
I knew he's John McClane. It's one of those things where, I mean, how long did it take for us to stop referring to characters as their actor previously, like Nick Cage or anybody like that?
I don't know, I feel like we were okay about that in Buffy, besides you repeatedly calling Donald Sutherland Donnie.
I don't think I ever called Luke Perry by his character's name, by Pike. I think I only called him Luke Perry.
That's true. I think you specifically said that Luke Perry takes longer to type out, but you kept typing it out anyway.
Back at the airport, Bruce Willis sees love all around him, and he isn't terribly impressed, and then there's a chauffeur.
I wouldn't be either.
There's a chauffeur here holding a sign with his name on it, and this is Argyle. Kristen, is Argyle the best character in the movie?
He might be. He reminds me of Bruno Mars. He just seems like he's down to have a good time.
I can see that connection. Yeah, he's a fun-loving dude who turns out to be a limo driver, and his first words, I believe, are, "Nice bear!" And John McClane's reaction to that is, "Okay."
This awkward conversation has started amazingly. Anyway, Argyle has not driven a limo before, so he actually doesn't know what to do.
And it's Bruce Willis' first time riding, so it's alright. So we cut to the next shot, and Bruce Willis is riding shotgun with Argyle.
Yep, that's generally not how a limo works.
He lists all the great qualities of the limo. It's got CD, CB, VHS, DVD, Blu-ray, Large Hadron Collider, Flux Capacitor, Warp Drive, Ark of the Covenant. It's got it all, Kristen!
That was a really funny joke.
The bear is enjoying the spacious back part of the limo as well. It's sitting where Bruce Willis probably should be sitting, and Argyle muses that with all of this limo that they got here, with everything, and the bag of chips that this limo is, they should go start picking up some mama bears.
Aw, yeah. But Bruce Willis is married, so he's like, no.
Yeah, his wife's been out here for 6 months, and, John's still living in New York, and then at this point, John notices that Argyle is becoming, like, exposition man, and he's just like, why are you asking so many questions of me? Why are you trying to get the audience to know my character?
Because people watching would probably like to know. Man, I meant to mention before with the picture and everything, I am very proud of the foreshadowing in this movie. Just like the small details that end up being significant later were woven in very, very nicely.
I agree. It's very nice little touches that happen.
There are things that could have been done way more heavy-handedly, but they handled them really well, and when they came up again, I knew exactly when they became significant the first time.
And as it turns out, Argyle used to drive a cab, so people expect chit-chat, which is why he's being exposition man here.
Yes, I'm sorry. My musing, railroaded that explanation a little bit. But anyway.
Holly had a good job that turned into a great career, and John just didn't want to follow because he was also married to his own job as a cop in New York.
Man, Holly got real rich in 6 months.
She really did. Holy fuck.
Yeah.
I mean,
life goals.
They make it pretty obvious. She's like the number 2 at the Nakatomi Corporation under Mr. Takagi, which is...
Yeah.
That seems pretty stellar, I'd say.
Good for her.
So Argyle's just like, time for some tunes, and he slipped in a cassette, and here it is, Kristen. Christmas in Hollis by Run DMC. Again, I was just like, whoa! When this song came up.
I got very excited, too. There are very few rap songs about Christmas, and I like all of them.
This scores major points in favor of Christmas movie, I believe, and of course... John McClane has to be a big old sourpuss and be like, don't you got any real Christmas music?
I don't want to listen to the rap.
Fuck you, Bruce Willis.
It is a good song.
So Argyle drops John off at Nakatomi Plaza, and he gives him his card, and is just like, you know what? If it doesn't work out with the lady, I'll be here. Give me a buzz. I'll be in the parking garage. Gonna sit around and drink from the minibar, probably.
Yup, just hang out, listen to some music.
Use the car phone.
Hang out. But he said, if you need me to get you a hotel, I will get you a hotel. He's a good wingman. Yeah,
Argyle's a cool dude.
Mm-hmm.
So Bruce Willis walks in to the front desk here and is like, I'd like to see Holly McClane. And the guy, does he even acknowledge Bruce Willis? Does he just kind of like point at the touch screen and just like, use that thing, use the computer, please?
They seem to have like some good back and forth about like, oh, look how advanced this is. And the desk guy is like, hey, if you take a piss, it'll help you find your zipper.
Hey.
But so Bruce Willis plays some Monster Madness first on the Touch Max.
The Mega Touch, Kristen.
Mega Touch. What am I thinking of?
Touch Max. I don't know. Huh.
Is that just an older one?
Maybe. I don't know. I've only referred to it as a Mega Touch.
I think Touch Max might be a hair remover.
Huh. Wow.
On the Mega Touch.
So he's looking for Holly's name under McClane, and as it turns out, Kristen, Holly's using her maiden name here, which... bit of a goof here. When Holly's name comes up on the touchscreen, it's spelled Gennaro, Gennaro, and then for the rest of the movie, I believe it is Gennaro, Gennero.
I believe that The Office would just fuck up the spelling of someone's name.
She's on the 30th floor, take the express elevator. So John McClane heads over, whispers some sweet holiday tunes as he heads for the elevator, He notices there's a ton of security cameras around, too, again, foreshadowing to where Theo will be for basically the entirety of the movie after he stops drilling.
Also, really good that Holly is not going by her married name anymore. That ends up being a thing that's like, oh, they get into a fight about it very soon coming in here. But it's like, no, actually, things probably only went smoothly because of that.
Well, she makes a very good point, and I don't know if it's different times or anything like that, but Kristen, as you know, and I'm sure we'll come back to this, Japanese culture, very different from our own, and the fact that she brings up, and probably even more different in the 80s, and the fact that she brings up the fact that, her being a married woman in the eyes of Japanese businessmen might not go over so well.
I mean, geez, that she should be in the home.
Being a mother.
Yup.
But anyway, there's some dude hanging out near the elevators too as Bruce Willis walks past. We cut to Argyle parking in the garage, not really doing a great parking job or anything. I don't know how everybody missed the fact that, one, Argyle takes an absurd long time to figure out what's going on at Nakatomi Plaza here. But nobody notices Argyle either, despite his music fucking bumping.
He's just kind of hanging out. I don't know, they don't actually show how big the parking garage is either.
That's true, because it's very possible that the trucks that come in holding Hans and all his men and such didn't even drive past Argyle.
Yeah, and they could have gone through, several different floors of completely empty parking lot, because they mention, the holiday party is the only thing going on in the building, because it's Christmas Eve, so everyone else is home.
Yeah. So, we cut to John. He is arriving at the party here and is immediately offered champagne.
Nice.
And you could tell by the look on John McClane's face, this shit is, I'm a New York cop, champagne, alright, okay.
Hey, I don't pretend to be a fancy person, but I would not turn down champagne.
He takes a sip and then immediately puts it on another tray of a passing waiter, so probably not a champagne fan.
I guess not. Probably more of a beer guy.
Some guy comes up and goes, "Hey, Merry Christmas!" and he kisses him on his cheeks, and Bruce Willis's response to this is, "Fuck California, man."
Oh god, everyone here is gay.
He walks up to Joe Takagi, who seems to be the person who provided the star-studded service of Argyle and the limo.
The cheapest possible limo company.
He knows exactly who John is. Yeah, he was being facetious when he's just like, "Oh no, we only offer the best here for the Nakatomi Corporation," and...
Enjoy this 19-year-old.
We hear the fact that there are several floors still under construction here, so I'm sure that will come in handy later, and it does.
Yep.
Holly went to fax some documents, so Joe shows her to her office. Businessman from earlier is here, Ellis is here, and there we go. Clearly engaging in a little White Christmas of his own, Kristen.
I like that joke. Good job.
It's the 80s! Woo! Just businessman doing coke in the middle of every fucking...
I'm surprised I even caught that, because they don't do a real close-up shot where it's like, here's the cocaine and everything. He just kind of sniffling a lot and clearly brushes something off the desk very quickly.
He also starts doing bumps off his knuckle later too when they're all captured.
Idiot.
John even mentions when Ellis is introduced to him, and John's first words to him is just like, "You missed some, so didn't do a great job."
I'm a cop. Nice job.
Then a weird exchange happens here, Kristen, where John is just like, "I didn't realize they celebrated Christmas in Japan."
How isolated were people during the 80s?
And Mr. Takagi's response is, "Pearl Harbor didn't work out, so you got me with tape decks." What? Huh?
I still am, mostly confused, I think, about the Japan probably doesn't celebrate Christmas, state of mind. Because at some point you're like, oh, Germans celebrate Christmas? Huh.
Globalization.
Sure.
Holly arrives at this point. She's actually, happy to see him. You'd think from the beginning of the movie that they're on the outs, that she's not using the same last name, that she, turns down his picture. They're still technically married. They're not, divorced or anything. Holly's just using her maiden name again for business purposes, and John didn't want to move out here with her. So they're not really on thin ice or anything. Maybe at this point they are, the thinnest ice, which is even, a fight that they have. But that's it. They're still a pretty loving couple.
Mm-hmm. We get in some slight exposition much later in the movie that John does realize that he was just not nearly as supportive as he should have been, so she's a good reason to be annoyed with him if she is.
But yeah.
But they're not, on the brink of separating completely.
Yeah, not as much as the beginning of the movie led me to believe, anyway.
Yeah.
Ellis wants John to see the watch. Apparently, Holly got a Rolex for her hard work, and that comes back later, Kristen, in a way that is unexpected, I guess.
Yep. And this is the only other time it's brought up, so it's like, wow, nice one.
That was one thing where, because Ellis is just like, go see the watch. Look, show him the watch. Maybe later, I was like, aha, this is going to come up later, but it came up in an unexpected area.
Mm-hmm. And again, in any other movie, they would have, like, given a very tight close-up of the watch and been like, watch. Look at it.
Look at this Rolex.
Don't forget this.
Also, that saves them the trouble of actually having to buy a Rolex.
Right.
So we see a large truck running down the road. There's foreboding music before cutting back. Holly apologizes for Ellis. He always gets so depressed around this time of year, doing coke, being an asshole.
Having enough money to do coke in the first place. God, his life must be so hard.
John notices that Ellis also kind of has his eye on Holly, and she has her eye on his private bathroom, and considering he gets fucking shot in the head, I'd say that she might get that private bathroom.
Yep, no problems here.
John is asked where he's going to stay while he's here, and he's just like, oh, former police captain is retired, and, maybe I'll go stay in Pomona.
Wherever that is.
Kristen, you'd think after watching Gem we'd be more acquainted with California and where Pomona is in regards to Los Angeles.
It's a big state.
She's like, Pomona, just come and stay in the spare bedroom, you dumbass!
Stay in the house your children are in.
Yeah, the kids would love to have you. What the hell?
Uh-huh. She's not saying, like, I either go to Pomona or we're gonna have to sleep head to toe, flipped around in the same bed.
And then two rowdy lovers burst into the room, and then they leave. Christmas parties.
Yeah. And then the weird petty arguing starts.
Yeah, I missed you. Didn't miss my name, though, huh? Boom. Right in there. Doesn't waste any time.
Yep, they immediately start talking over each other in their argument in a very natural way that I feel like married people who are not happy with each other actually do argue.
And here's where, she mentions that this being a Japanese company, something about a married woman wouldn't really sit well with them, and that's just not a good enough answer for New York cop John McClane, no sir.
It's okay, he saves her life later, so it works out.
Yeah, everybody hugs in the end, so I think she can probably disregard this little argument that we find by the end of the movie she's fine with being called Holly McClane again, so I think, okay, alright.
Everything works out.
Someone else stumbles into the office here. Mr. Takagi is looking for Holly to give a speech to the troops. So she heads out, and, she'll be back in a few. And immediately after, again, John realizes, immediately after Holly leaves, he's just like, fuck, why did I do shit? God damn it!
I really enjoy him talking to himself for this entire movie.
Well, he doesn't really have a snappy sidekick for a little while, so...
Yeah.
A car pulls up around front as we see the desk clerk from before. He's just like, who the hell could this be? And the big truck heads into the parking garage. Two dudes come in. Theo is loudly discussing basketball with Carl, long blonde man here, who I referred to in my notes until I realized his name was Carl, I believe. And
I never learned anyone's name.
Well, Theo, Carl, and Hans Gruber, I think, are the most important ones, and then there are names that are thrown around occasionally, but those are the big ones, I think.
Uh-huh.
I wish I could remember Theo's conversation, because it's something along the lines of just, again, yelling loudly about basketball to Carl, and then just shooting the desk clerk in the face before going, 2 points! Or something like that. So yeah, he tells, I believe he just tells somebody on a radio, we're in. And starts, going at hacking shit, being super 80s hacking. He's got the Coke bottle glasses, Kristen. He loves computers, I guess.
He's a nerd.
The guy hanging around the elevators is still here, and he becomes the second casualty of this movie as Carl, rolls a weird hockey puck flash grenade out and then shoots him.
It is a little bit too easy
for this to happen.
Just take over a skyscraper.
It's Christmas Eve, so they got lowered staff. And, again, it's the 80s. Are you going to expect two guys walking in casually, even though you've never seen them before, to just shoot you in the head immediately?
Joe, the terrorists don't care if it's Christmas Eve.
The truck opens up, and the bad guy crew comes out. Here's Alan Rickman. He's got a very nice beard in this movie, Kristen.
Looking good in this movie.
Young Alan Rickman. Youngest, I think this is the first notable role of Alan Rickman that I remember seeing. So Theo takes the time to lock all the elevators, the entrances. He turns off the escalators for some reason. We don't see those escalators again. There's just a shot of escalators stopping, and then we don't see them again.
Everything's turning off, even the escalators.
The bad guy crew leaves the elevator and meets up with Theo as he rips out some wires. He kicks the computer. I don't know what he's doing here. Fuck it. And Hans just
hacking.
Hans locks the front doors, and that's about it. And here's where we find that the terrorist group here, the Hans Gruber Brigade, has Ode to Joy as their theme, basically, which was actually being played by the string quartet or whatever at the Christmas party earlier. It ends up being the villain theme of the movie, essentially, and I believe, I feel like I remember reading, just, again, with the Amazon Video pop-ups that come up that have the IMDb trivia, something about the composer of the movie being very angry about having to ruin Ode to Joy and associating it with terrorists.
Well, sometimes you gotta break a few eggs to make a terrorist omelet.
We see, I believe this is the other Coke bottle glasses blonde man. He's cutting into a box with some wires that he's... the terrorists are doing a lot of stuff, Kristen, that I don't know what the... I mean, obviously, it's the major overarching theme is to get control of everything, but they're doing a lot of stuff where it's, I have to write a note for every action, even when I don't know what's going on.
Yeah, I guess it's just a bunch of people doing a bunch of very direct tasks to show that they had planned this pretty darn meticulously. And
this is where, actually, I believe it's the phone lines get cut, if I could infer from my next note, where John decides to call Argyle, and he lets him know, hey, things are still kind of weird about me and Holly right now, so I'm assuming that the call was basically going to be, do you mind hanging out a bit, or if John was ready to leave at this point, I'm not sure. Yeah, either way, the phone call gets cut off in the middle, and bless his heart, Argyle is like, you there? And hangs up, but then continues to just jam out in the parking garage for the rest of the movie. He goes, the phone number, just use it. Like he's chiding him for just, hanging up. Like, you know how to use a phone, don't you dumbass? Ugh, come on. So, the terrorists arrive on the 30th floor, they got guns out, and it takes a good amount of time for, you'd think there was somebody standing close enough to the elevator to see it open. All coked up. They're coked up, they're boozed up, they're partying, they're like, Ode to Joy, woo! Merry Christmas! Oh god, guns! So there's gunfire, and John watches from a doorway as the armed men start corralling the guests of the party. And one thing I forgot to mention here, I guess, Kristen, before calling Argyle, he was doing the thing in the bathroom with his feet on the rug, making fists with his toes. Yep, and he is like, I think this works. He's like, well, blow me down. Look at that. I don't know what part of air travel that's supposed to, fix. What is his jet lag getting fixed? Through his toes? Whew, I don't know. But yeah, so John has his shoes off at this point, and he realizes, basically, that he needs to get the fuck out of there. No time to put on shoes, Kristen. I gotta get the fuck out of here. Becomes a thing for the rest of the movie. And he does well for a while. It doesn't become a detriment until much later. So he heads upstairs again. No shoes. Got no shoes now, Kristen. It's going to be, again, running theme for the rest of the movie. It doesn't work out very well for him eventually, but he goes up to one of the floors still under construction here, immediately above the 30th floor, it looks like. I think floor 32 or something. He starts taking note of the floors as he's going past them, and ends up just, on one of the floors that's under construction. Yeah, we hear him mumbling more to himself, saying what is where, and he checks everything to see if there are people working there and what they're doing. And he scopes out a lady in a building across the way, which, does that come back? Is that just something, does that just happen? I don't remember the relevance of that, if anything. Yeah, I don't remember that being a thing. Huh. Well, anyway, Hans is here, and he explains that the Nakatomi Corporation's abuse of power isn't going to go unchecked. It's time to see some real power. Get me Mr. Takagi, Harry Potter. Page 394. Is that the Snape Kills Dumbledore page? No, that's a joke from the third movie, where Snape is attempting to give a lecture on defense against the dark arts. But everyone keeps interrupting him and asking questions, so he keeps repeating the page number that he wants them to flip to over and over and over again. Hans starts listing off info about Mr. Takagi as he's looking through the crowd. Hans is doing some profiling here as he just looks at the various Japanese business people here of the Nakatomi Corporation, trying to find Mr. Takagi, even though I'm pretty sure Hans is well enough prepared. He should probably know what Mr. Takagi looks like. Yeah, I doubt there's just, not pictures of him anywhere, unless he's just purposefully trying to freak these people out. I wouldn't be surprised. Hans is a very thorough man in terms of... He's an exceptional thief, as he would let you know himself. Oh, of course, and it is worth mentioning, Holly straight up, puts her hand on Mr. Takagi's, lower arm and says, don't. And, I mean, she's right, essentially, but unfortunately this is something that kind of has to happen here, where Mr. Takagi finally stands up and is just like, I'm Cherokee Jack, and then they take him away.
I'm Spartacus.
So Hans drags Mr. Takagi away with the two blonde men here to a lower floor, right? Just a floor that's just below this one, I think, with all the models and shit.
I was not paying attention to the ups and downs.
Maybe it's the floor directly above. I don't remember. Anyway, Hans is humming Ode to Joy as they're in the elevator, and he quotes something about Alexander the Great when they're in the room with the bunch of models, for he wept with no more world left to conquer or whatever, because I guess the Nakatomi Corporation is just doing really well.
Yup. Just got the whole world at their feet. Alexander the Great is such a dick in Civ.
He is. Making friends with city-states, what a dick.
Ugh. Asking me to go to war with people when I'm like, I'm so small.
Hans has Mr. Takagi try to get access to the computers, but, he don't got it. And any information that he could try to give can just be changed when it's morning in Tokyo. And Kristen, it might already be morning in Tokyo, given that, at least in Eastern time here, Japan is 12 or 13 hours ahead of us.
Yeah. So,
If it's dark out in Pacific time, I can only imagine.
Yeah. Maybe he's talking about a very specific time in the morning.
Hans isn't interested in the computer system, but he needs the code to get the $640 million in bearer bonds in the vault. And again, a running theme of when people figure out the plan is just like, what kind of fuck? This is all for money? What the fuck? What kind of terrorists are you?
This is very elaborate to just get some dough.
And Hans goes, who said we were terrorists? And John ends up on this floor. He is sneaking around. He can't quite see the parties involved, which is, again, a very good thing that comes... John doesn't know what Hans looks like, which is great. I like that a lot.
Uh-huh. Like, later, when more stuff in the movie happens, I forgot about that for a second, and then went, oh.
Mr. Takagi don't want to talk, and Hans is just like, yeah, but you're wearing such a nice suit. It'd be a shame to ruin it.
Hans does say that Mr. Takagi has to the count of 3, and Mr. Takagi is just kind of like, I don't know the information you're asking for. I guess you're just gonna have to kill me. That does not work out well for anyone in this movie.
And he does, because, Hans is just boom, right in the head. Just right, and, it doesn't actually, I'm sure it depends on how much blood, I guess, ends up getting on the suit after this part, but you'd think shot in the head not going to ruin as much of the suit as shot in the sternum or anything like that.
Yeah, I kept waiting in this movie for someone to get shot in the legs, and it never happened.
No, there's a lot of, normal kind of action movie deaths of gunfire, like spread gunfire, Bruce Willis waving a gun around and somebody just falling over.
Yeah, shot enough times that it still kills you, but I wanted, single shot to a leg, because I assume that's what he meant for ruin the suit. It's like, pow pow, now your knees don't work, would you like to tell me the password now?
Some guy gets his knees fucking blasted open right before they start shooting the glass in that scene.
I still think it's a different sort of approach I am thinking of.
You're thinking of shooting as an intimidation tactic when here they're just killing people.
Exactly. You read my torture mind.
They gotta do this the hard way, I guess. So, John accidentally makes a noise. I'm not sure what exactly he does here, but he makes an... he goes, ow! Blood!
Ew.
And everyone runs out of the room to go after him, and he successfully evades detection just by going behind a locked door, pretty much, right? Like, locking a door behind him.
Oh, I'm not in the room anymore, so you can't find me.
And Carl's just like, I guess, he tries opening the door and it's like, locked. Oh, well, I guess it's always been locked. Let's get out of here. Let's go.
Yep, who cares?
Hans needs to know if Theo can crack the code as needed. And Theo's just like, well, you didn't bring me along for my charming personality.
Cha-cha. Also, God, this way you wrote blonde men for some reason. I keep thinking to myself that it says bloomin' onion.
Bloomin' onion.
I'm just very hungry.
If only Carl were a bloomin' onion. John hopes that Argyle had heard the gunshots here and is in the middle of calling the police, but we cut to Argyle. He's listening to his music too loud to hear anything like that, and he's talking with some honey on the phone.
I'm too hot. Hot damn.
Call the police and the firemen.
Yep, there we go. You've heard that song too.
It played a lot at weddings, Kristen.
Yep, I know.
We cut to the bad guys on the roof. They're setting up the C4 that's going to blow up the roof later, part of Hans's plan. Lots of tossing stuff to other people. Theo is giving Hans a rundown of how long it's going to take to get through the locks and codes and shit. There's 7 fail-safes for this fucking thing. There's the code, there's 5 locks, and then there's the electromagnetic lock at the end.
And they actually cannot open the electromagnetic one.
But Hans has an idea for that.
Cool. He does not share it.
Yeah, not until it actually happens, basically. Hans, for some reason, even with the people that he is working with, he isn't just like, oh, well, the FBI is going to be here and they're going to cut the power and that's going to turn off the lock.
Christmas Miracle.
Yeah, he just goes Christmas Miracle.
Yep, we need another opportunity to play Ode to Joy later.
John McClane is chastising himself at this point for not doing anything, but then also, as, talking to himself, like, oh, why did you do anything, John? Well, you would have been fucking dead too, John.
Come on, John, get it together.
So, his plan becomes, you know what? I gotta think of something. Fire alarm. Sprinklers. Yeah. So he does that.
It didn't actually occur to me until things rolled out a little bit more. But the idea that, well, yeah, obviously for a giant building like that, once a fire alarm is pulled, it automatically calls the fire department. It's like, oh, okay, yeah, that makes a lot of sense, actually.
Not only that, but there's there's the guide on the bottom floor at, the desk clerk area that tells you, oh, there's a fire alarm pulled on this floor particularly, not just, oh, there's a fire alarm pulled.
Help me, Mega Touch.
They catch it pretty quickly because of this, and Hans says, call into 911, cancel the alarm, shut down the system, so they do so, and believe Hans is fucking really prepared for basically everything John McClane tries to do in this movie.
Yeah, how did they make an outgoing call?
Huh.
Because all they have is CB.
Maybe they got a cell phone. It's the 80s.
Who knows?
So, John sees the cops and the fire trucks come, and he's pretty excited, and he even says, I'll kiss you, fucking Dalmatian.
He says some great stuff when he is just hype waiting for something to happen.
But they head off in a different direction, and John is just like, god damn it, what the fuck? And the elevator dings, which is used as a element of suspense in this movie. I think anytime an elevator dings, you're like, oh, some shit's gonna go down in this movie.
Shit, someone else is here.
So, Glasses Blondman is here. I forget his name. I only remember Carl because he's the important one. But he's walking out, and he's just like, all right, come on out, come back down to the party. Don't worry about it, I'm not gonna shoot you.
I'm not going to hurt you.
Even though I have this automatic weapon.
Even though I immediately shoot. We're definitely doing the wrong accents.
Yeah, I don't know what accent I'm doing there, but it's definitely not German.
Mine was definitely Russian-leaning.
I was gonna say mine was kind of Russian-leaning as well. I don't even know what mine was doing, but yeah. So he goes to shoot John behind, like, a stack of plywood that he was hiding behind, or drywall or something like that. And there's the sound of a power saw, and for some reason he's just like, you know what, let me go investigate the sound of this power saw, where that might be coming from.
I need to go look at that trap, hang on.
And yes, as he goes over and the saw stops, he gets the barrel of John McClane's pistol in his face.
Right in his mouth.
And he goes that, policemen got rules, so they won't shoot him. And so John just pistol whips him instead.
Yep. I do appreciate, though, like, in my movie head, I look at him not shooting this terrorist man, and I'm like, just pop him one. But John is very good about, like, kind of assessing threat level before he kills people.
He's a professional, Kristen. He's a cop.
He really is.
So he jumps up onto the blonde Coke bottle glasses blondeman's back here. And there's a big struggle, and John's head goes through a sheet of drywall at one point as he's, like, throwing him around, and it ends up where they just fall down the stairs, and this ends up killing the blonde guy somehow. Yep,
I guess, I don't know, if you fell down the stairs with somebody having an arm wrapped around your neck, makes sense that they might get jostled around to the point where they snap it.
Yeah, he Quan Chi fatalities him and just pulls his neck really, really long.
Later, loser.
Like Rizzo at the beginning of Grease.
Man, we just really keep going back to Rizzo, don't we? Got a big Stockard Channing fixation.
So John checks out what the blonde man had on him. Walkie-talkie, lighter, wallet, machine gun, all of which come in handy.
Nice. And shoes.
Yeah, he tries taking the guy's shoes, but he's got such small feet. There's a million terrorists in the world, and I kill the one that has smaller feet than my sister. God damn it.
Oh, those Germans and their teeny tiny women feet.
They're fucking super engineered feet. It's like their cars. They're so good. They don't need to be big.
We're gonna, between this movie and our next movie, have a theme of feet.
Gross.
I know.
So, Kristen, one thing I wanted to note here, it's nice that John tries grabbing shoes here, but John kills like 6 or 7 more dudes, probably more, and he doesn't try taking any of their shoes.
All of their feet are the same size. They just didn't show us it because it would be repetitive. That what makes them such a good terrorist group. You can never tell whose footprints are whose.
They're all wearing the same shoes. Oh my god.
Fun fact, Alan Rickman has famously small feet.
So John is leaving Blondman in the elevator, and he sees some Santa decorations. Oh, what fun there is tonight.
I am really into the thought process that goes into what eventually he does.
Because, yeah, he does. There's a sequence here that lasts a little while where he climbs into the elevator, hits the emergency stop, opens it up, climbs back out onto the floor that he was on, and then sends the elevator down to the 30th floor so the terrorists can see what John has done here. And we're in the middle of Hans explaining what happened to Mr. Takagi, and I love the way that he just so casually delivers this line here. Alan Rickman just fucking chef kiss. So good in this movie. Of Hans going, he wanted this to be professional, but Mr. Takagi didn't see it that way, so now he won't be joining us for the rest of his life.
Aw, he's dead.
Oh, so good. And everybody, obviously, a little apprehensive about that, but the elevator opens up as Hans is, still kind of posturing and being just like how in charge they are. And we see Blondman in the elevator has a Santa hat, and his terrible gray sweatshirt has written on it, "Now I have a machine gun. Ho, ho, ho."
And a bunch of the hostages get to see it. So, intrigue. I love it.
At the Indy 500.
No. A different one.
Holly pretty clearly realizes that this is John's work as well. She's just like, "Oh, I remember when he did that for our anniversary. Oh."
What a pervert.
John is hanging out on top of the elevator here as well, looking down, and he's writing notes, like keeping track of what's going on here, because, again, he doesn't really have the radio yet, so he doesn't hear a lot of what's going on, and this is where he learns of, Carl, Hans, and, just writing down all of the important information on his arm, which I don't know if it stays there for the entirety of the movie. I think it might just disappear at one point.
I don't remember, but it is worth noting, I think, before we cut back to Hans again, he did say before that they need to tell Carl that his brother is dead. Right,
yes. Carl is not there among them, but that's where, he's writing Carl's name down on his arm for that. And I guess through process of elimination, with how harsh Carl comes after him for the rest of the movie, John's just like, "Aha! You must be the guy whose brother I killed."
Yep. Both blonde. I see the resemblance.
Another elevator passes up. Oh, no, I'm sorry. I think I was watching this wrong, where the elevator that John is on starts to go up and passes by another elevator, and he avoids nearly getting, crushed. Riding an elevator shaft does not seem like a good idea, Kristen.
No, he's, right on top of the elevator, and I imagine there's, some machinery and shit that hangs out there. If he gets so close to being, slap smushed by a, metal beam, I wonder if he was, going to the top floor? Because why else would there be a beam that would, get in the way of the actual elevator car?
Maybe, I don't know, because he's, I think this is near the roof, because where he gets off here and starts walking around in, the around the elevator shaft or whatever, I think this is near the roof, so I wouldn't be surprised.
So maybe.
We cut to Carl, flipping a table.
Yep.
Immediately, following him hearing about his fellow Blondman's death.
It's tragic. I would flip a table for you if you, a terrorist, got killed, Joe.
If Bruce Willis broke my neck falling down the stairs.
Yeah, I would be pretty upset with Bruce Willis. Unfortunately, I am not a very of-body person.
You are not.
I don't think I would be able to avenge you.
You don't have the cool, Austrian gun that Carl has.
Yeah, I got nothing.
I forget the specific name of that gun, but I know it's... You'd think with all the fucking games that I play.
You would think.
Probably a gun in Counter-Strike. Oh well, I don't remember what it is. So Hans is just like, "Be calm, man. Just, explosive charges are being planted. Theo's hard at work. The police are going to be called. We're going to get to the point where hours are going to be wasted in negotiations. So that's when you can kill him. But for now, I need you on my side, dude. Don't lose your shit."
Hey, don't freak out anymore.
So Ellis and Holly are discussing what's going on as they're watching Hans and Carl in a nearby office. And it's pretty easy to see that there's something's wrong, and for some reason Holly lets it, I shouldn't say lets it slip, she's just, maybe trying to be reassuring to Ellis. She's just being like, "Yeah, John's doing this," and Ellis is just like, "What the fuck, he's gonna get us all killed. Don't be such a negative goddamn Nancy, Ellis, Jesus."
Right, I don't see you killing any terrorists.
I just see you doing hits of coke off your hand.
Please, trim that coke nail and sober up.
John makes it up to the roof, here we are, yes, I guess this was the roof, and he grabs onto the walkie-talkie trying to just transmit what's going on here, And, of course, everyone hears this here. So, Kristen, I get that there are different channels on a walkie-talkie. Bruce Willis is going off on a channel that is an emergency channel here, but all of the terrorists can hear him, but then why couldn't the police hear what the terrorists were saying unless because they were in a building they couldn't?
Okay, here is what I am thinking. They're CB radios.
Right.
So, I think that if Hans and his Funtime pals had, like, multiple CBs with them, they could be tuned to more than one frequency at a time.
I don't know, is there, like, an all-channel open option for CB radios, maybe?
Well, what I figured is they have, like, one where if someone is on a police frequency, where they would be able to listen to it, and then also send messages that don't reach the police.
Right, okay, oh, so it's not just... I could have sworn I only saw Hans with one walkie-talkie for the entirety of the movie, but I don't know.
Well, again, it's CB. I don't have a huge understanding of how CB works, but it's not the same way that walkie-talkies work, where, the ones that we had when we were kids, that we just went to channel 1, 2, 3, or 4.
Right. So, as Hans is hearing this as well, he pretty quickly realizes that John is on the roof. Again, Hans very quick... Anything that happens, Hans is just like, got it, I already know. I'm one step ahead of you, asshole, and he sends Carl up to the roof to go after him. And here is the first portion of where we see Kristen. Law enforcement, emergency responders... basically, anyone on the side of the law is a fucking dumbass in this movie.
It's Los Angeles, Joe. They don't know what they're doing. They're all high and eating burritos.
Whoa, and the emergency responders see that the call is coming in from the same place as the false fire alarm, and for some reason, the lady is just like, oh, sir, this channel is reserved for emergencies only, and I love John McClane's response. Kristen, if you would mind giving us John McClane's panicked response.
No shit, lady, do I sound like I'm ordering a fucking pizza?
So, a squad of terrorists is heading for the roof. Carl says, nobody kills him but me. I must break you. If he dies, he dies. Ivan Drago, ladies and gentlemen.
Yay! Ivan Drago is also Russian.
I know. You don't think I know that, Kristen? That's Rocky destroying communism!
Yeah!
John is trying his best to make them understand that the police are being super incompetent, basically, and they threaten him with an FCC violation, Kristen.
And he's like, good, come arrest me. Just send a bunch of cops, please.
So they contact a single police car to check it out, and we see here Officer Owl Powell. Officer Owl here.
Who are you? Who. That joke again.
Buying a shitload of Twinkies, Kristen.
Yup. Cashier's a little judgy.
Yeah, he goes,
I thought you guys liked donuts.
Officer Powell assures it is for his wife. She's pregnant.
And the cashier just goes, uh-huh. Twice.
So he gets called out to Nakatomi Plaza. Here's where we see that gas is 74 cents a gallon. Woo!
What a world.
Kristen, it's one of those things where, it's a common joke, or it was a common joke in movies and things like, I think of Spaceballs specifically, of putting only $5 of gas in something. And you gotta think, $5 of gas probably could have went a long way back then.
Yeah, what a crazy world. And again, it's not like, I understand inflation and the economy and stuff like that, but gas was incredibly cheap for like several decades.
Well, you gotta think gas mileage wasn't that great either. That's also a recent sort of development, so maybe it evens out.
I don't drive anymore, so it doesn't matter to me.
We go back to a shootout here where Carl basically, Carl and the squad all are firing guns.
Squad.
Carl and the hashtag squad are all firing their guns at John. John is seen reloading. This movie is pretty good about showing characters reloading. I always appreciate that.
Especially with machine guns, because at some point it's like, how many fucking bullets do you have?
As he looks like he's cornered, he uses his machine gun to shoot through a door, and there's a fan in his way that stops his progress, but he manages to slip through by, jamming the fan and getting in just as they go in to shoot him, and he passes some naked lady pictures on the wall. Hey, construction workers, good job, I guess.
Yeah, awesome. That isn't appropriate for the workplace.
I'm sure the construction workers had their union negotiate that.
We want nudies.
Well, I'm gonna we're allowed 3 nude lady pictures for floor, and we'll take them down when we finish.
What? I'm not allowed to wank at work? That's discrimination.
So he gets to this point where there's an elevator shaft, I believe, and he's basically trapped. Elevator shafts are all he can really use, and here's where he tries something very dangerous here, Kristen.
Yeah, one of several times we can use that sentence.
Where he, like, has his gun, the opening is not as wide as his gun, so he uses that to sort of use the shoulder sash of the gun, the shoulder strap.
Yep.
And, like, rappel downward into the elevator shaft to try and get into an air duct.
And it works.
And it works. Well, he misses the first one because it breaks the drywall. I believe the gun does. Like, it doesn't stay in position for very long. And John misses the first air duct and manages to grab onto the second. So, he's practicing his grip like in Metal Gear Solid, Kristen.
Yep, he has to do some pull-ups first. Grip level 3.
So he gets into the air duct, and Carl looks in, and he's just like, where the hell did he go? And Bruce Willis uses his lighter to see that there's really only vent in front of him, and he does another famous line from the movie, "Now I know what a TV dinner feels like."
One of my things that I enjoyed quite a lot is when he flicks the lighter on, the entire space lights up as if, surprise, it's a movie and someone just turned on a shitload of lights. There's no way the lighter would bring that much light to it.
It provides so much light that Carl can see, even though Bruce Willis would be body blocking most of the light, Carl can see the light of the lighter from when he looks down into the elevator shaft.
Yeah, unfortunately for him, Carl is like an expert wilderness tracker, and that translates very well into an office setting.
Well, he gets right down to the floor where this air duct is, and he just starts kind of firing up towards it. Bullets come through it's amazing that he didn't hit Bruce Willis again.
He has Fortune's bullets don't hit me shield.
He's got main character privileges. So Carl starts pushing up on parts of the vent to try to find John, which, again, pretty good idea.
Mm-hmm.
And John has his pistol loaded. He can't seem to get, like, a good lock onto Carl, but Carl gets kind of called away, too, at this point, because I don't remember why. It's just like, hey, Hans needs you, probably, is all that was more than likely said.
Come back home. It's time to eat. Ding, 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 ding.
Dinner bell.
Yeah, stop playing. No time to play later.
John finally gets down. He's back on the floor where Mr. Takagi was shot, and there's why didn't he try to take Mr. Takagi's shoes, huh?
Out of respect for the dead, Joe.
It's like that Twilight Zone episode where he steals his shoes, and he becomes Mr. Takagi.
Yes. We don't want that happening.
So the Officer Powell here, he gets out, he's heading to the front door to check out with the security guard, and the guard lets the cop in, and he's just like, oh, there's a bug system, don't worry about it. Oh, it's all just, all this fucking Christmas Eve. I hate to trouble you like this. Again, talking loudly about basketball before shooting him in the head, except he doesn't get shot in the head.
Yes, thankfully.
So John takes a chair and smashes out a window on the floor that he's on, trying to get the attention of the cop, because he thinks that he's... I believe he refers to Officer Powell as Stevie Wonder.
Rude.
So the cop takes a look around. He goes, start heading towards the elevators. Carl is there with his gun, and Officer Powell gets close, but he's just kind of like, it's Christmas Eve. I don't need this shit. Whatever.
I have a wife.
A pregnant wife, and she needs Twinkies, damn it.
And I also do, too.
Two other dudes kind of come in as they see John, I guess, fucking with the window here, and John immediately, pulls his gun like, oh no, don't stop. And he's like, oh god, don't shoot. And then the second guy comes in, and he immediately gets shot, where the other guy, he tries to shoot John through, like, the big sidewindy table in the room.
Uh-huh.
And
it's bulletproof, thankfully.
Bulletproof from the top, I guess. Because, yeah, he, as he tries to shoot him, and he gets to the end there, and the guy with the gun, Marco, I think his name is here, is just like, aha, you don't got any more table to hide under. So John just shoots up from under the table and hits him right in the balls.
Yup. He says, next time you have the chance to kill someone, don't hesitate. And this is one of the times where, because I've consumed quite a lot of media, even though it hasn't been the most obvious media in the universe, I did, in the silence before the one-liner came, thought to myself, he's going to say, thanks for the advice. And he does indeed say, thanks for the advice.
The cop heads out, he reports that everything is all right, and John realizes he needs to resort to different sorts of measures to get the attention of Officer Powell, so Marco's body gets fucking thrown from the building, and he 10 points right on the hood of Officer Powell's car.
Nice, very good aim. So, everyone starts to shoot at him from the building as he goes into reverse, and he is like screaming, freaking out.
I mean, a dead body just flew onto his thing, and he's just like, ah, fuck, oh, Jesus, oh, go back up, oh, God, I'm gonna, oh, fuck, oh, Jesus, oh, fuck!
I would be freaked out, too.
So the police finally start to come in full force. It took them fucking long enough, and Ellis even remarks, never thought I'd love to hear this sound.
Oh my God, I'm so coked up. Did they arrest you if you're coked up if you're a hostage?
Ellis probably being the fucking smooth snake that he is, he'd probably just be like, they forced me to do it!
They made me do cocaine!
Oh, one of the other businessmen had a bunch of coke, and one of the terrorists was just like, oh, well, did you bring enough for the entire class? So we made us all do it!
Oh God, it was terrible.
Do you have any coke?
Please. I'm 2 minutes sober.
Hans is assuring everyone that police presence would be necessary for this plan, so, don't worry about it. Police are here, fuck it. They're not going to come charging in. And the radio goes off. Hans berates the person on the other line because he demanded radio silence, Kristen, but, it is John. He didn't quite get that message.
And you don't play by those rules.
So he starts rattling off the names of the people involved, just trying to be like, I thought after Marco went down, and I thought I'd call and give you some company.
I want to kiss you because I'm killing your guys.
Hans mistakes him for a security guard, which is not the case, and as John is rifling through the backpack of one of the two dead guys here, he finds the C4, and...
some cigarettes.
And some cigarettes.
Some C's. And he goes, oh, these will kill you. Or maybe I imagined that, but it sounds like something he would say.
That's gotta be a line in some action movie of just taking cigarette, like some guy who's only known for smoking gets shot, and then the hero goes pulls the cigarette from his mouth, flicks it aside, and goes, those things will kill you.
Oh yeah, definitely. That's happened in 500 movies, I am positive.
Hans has the rest of his men go, check on everyone, don't use the radio. Hans and John continue talking here, and Hans is curious as to whom John might be. Some American who fancies himself John Wayne or Rambo.
And John's like, I'm a Roy Rogers kind of guy. Real good roast beef sandwiches.
Do you really think you stand a chance against us, Mr. Roast Beef Sandwich?
Yippee-ki-yay, roast beef. I think that's how it went.
Hans isn't impressed with these roast beef sandwiches that he speaks of.
Oh, God, I'm so hungry.
We join some news people. Some guy wants us. Kristen, I don't know what's going on with the news person subplot here. I understand that it ends up...
They're the most annoying people in this movie.
It ends up cluing Hans into who Holly is eventually, but, I don't know if we needed to spend a time with the news people, because I don't even know any of the names of them.
No, I feel like they wasted movie time in this. This movie is over 2 hours long.
Yeah, I don't know if they needed to establish all of the shit with... I don't know. I don't know what they needed.
I would believe if they cut out all of the newscaster stuff, that if near the end of the movie it just showed on TV that they had gotten to Holly's house, that would be enough for me.
Right, I'd say definitely that's sort of the weakest part here, because they don't even have any fun. There's enough characters in this movie, because you've got John McClane, 30 hostages, Hans Gruber and all his terrorists, the police, the FBI, and now the news people, and it's goddamn.
Yeah, we do not need all of those people.
Yeah, Harvey Johnson, again, I'm writing notes as if these people
Let's
are going to...
just skip it, who gives a shit?
Yeah, alright, so we're skipping down here. Carl is here to let Hans know that Marco is dead, and Heinrich, the other guy, his bag is missing. Now we find out here, Hans realizes, Heinrich had the detonators, didn't he? Why did we send him to go after John with the detonators?
Whoopsie dipsy. You would think it would make more sense for Hans to just have the detonators.
Hans isn't the explosives expert, though. I mean, maybe to keep him by, and then he would just be like, all right, Heinrich, here's your detonators, work your magic. But, yeah, no, maybe Heinrich's a little possessive about the detonators. Who knows?
They're my lights. My name is Hans Pacheco. I'm sorry, Heinrich Pacheco.
Hans and Heinrich Pacheco, the lesser known of the Pacheco brothers. So Hans checks in on Theo here. 3 locks down, 4 to go. I guess we forgot to mention, Theo's hanging out with a big drill now to do the locks.
Yep, just chilling, disengaging things. I assume. I don't know how it works.
And Hans goes, then don't waste any time talking to me. Well, you're the one that called, asshole.
Mm-hmm. Officer Powell is hanging out. He got hurt sort of bad.
What did he back into, Kristen? It's like the drain area from Greece, right? Kinda?
I don't know, some kind of gate that led to a not super long drop, but his car does end up diagonal.
Yeah. I don't know how to describe it, but yeah, his car is not in great shape. So Officer Powell calls out on the radio for John to answer, and Hans obviously listening very intently here as well. John lets Powell know that Hans and company are listening, so he makes it short and sweet. Hans isn't terribly perturbed, he just needs that bag. The FBI arriving is the next important step. It doesn't matter that the police and John McClane are in contact here.
Though he does start just kind of rattling off all the stuff that he knows to Officer Powell, and at some point, Hans is just like, fuck, he's telling them everything.
He lets Officer Powell know that they have enough plastic explosives to orbit Arnold Schwarzenegger. I don't know what that means, Kristen.
Pop him right up into space.
Oh, orbit. I thought orbit in the, orbit around, like gravity, instead of pop him into space, not send him into orbit.
Yeah, I imagined pop him into space.
That makes much more sense.
Great, cool, glad we could clear that up.
He lets the officer know that there's only about 9 left, all European fancy pantses, they got expensive fake IDs, and Officer Powell is kind of just like, how do you know that? And John doesn't really want to give too much away, because obviously since Hans is listening, might end up endangering Holly, which he does a good job, at least, of kind of keeping him,
Yeah, that gambit goes for most of the movie. I expected it to break bad, like, a couple times.
More than likely. And yeah, Officer Powell is just kind of like, smoke 'em if you got 'em. And he does. Thank goodness, from the cigarettes from previously.
And John McClane's like, my name is Roy-ish.
Love those roast beef sandwiches. So high-ranking police officers arrive here. High-ranking policeman. This is Deputy Dwayne. I don't remember his last name. I just referred to him as Deputy in my notes.
Some douchebag.
Some douche. He looks like the guy in the Twisted Sister music videos. The dad.
Nice.
I don't know if that's the case. He looks like that guy. What are you gonna do with your life? I wanna rock! Ba-ba, ba-ba. Thank you. D. Snyder, everybody.
That's me, D. Snyder.
Deputy Dwayne is speaking with Officer Powell. He doesn't quite believe the things that he thinks that John might be one of the terrorists himself, and he might be feeding him a line here. And he could be a fucking bartender for all we know.
There is, like, an amount of reasonable doubt that isn't annoying, and then it gets to, like, how did that guy get thrown on top of my police car then? And the fancy pants detective, officer, man, whatever word you were using before, deputy? Deputy is like, I don't know, he's some kind of whatever the LA version of Wall Street guy is that got sad and just tossed himself off the building. And it's like, okay, you're a fucking idiot. He had gunshot wounds in him. In his balls.
Back inside, Holly has a request for Hans. She is next in line after Mr. Takagi, after all, because I believe Hans and her have the exchange of something along the lines of, who put you in charge? You did when you killed my boss.
Mm-hmm. She's a little bit sassy to him.
So there's a pregnant lady. She needs a sofa. They do a little quick negotiation here. We need to take her to an office with a sofa. Nope, we could bring one out for her. Done. All right, cool. How about you start taking us to the bathroom in groups, because people are going to start peeing themselves.
Okay, sounds good.
Holly is asked her name. She identifies herself as Holly Gennaro. Hans has taken up residence in her office as well, so Holly must have the nicest office.
Yeah, I guess so. Good for her.
She might have given something away to Hans with kind of her hesitation before, like her eyes kind of linger on the face down photo, like she knows that John's there, and Hans really doesn't pay it much mind, but that's one thing that kind of you could tell on his face. He's got kind of like a thing going on there.
I am intrigued by your hesitation, Mr. Potter.
Special news bulletin with Richard Thornburg. Fuck it, skip that. Blah, blah, blah. Argyle sees the news report here, and he turns on the CB radio to hear the police chatter, and also ends up hearing... This, again, it takes until the television, like halfway into the movie, for Argyle to be like, what the hell's going on here?
Oh, there's some terrorist activity happening at Nakatomi Plaza, and Argyle's like, shit, that's where I am!
The police are prepping to go in, and again, here's where the Deputy Dwayne here is like, alright, so if there are hostages, why haven't the terrorists ransomed them? If there are terrorists, why haven't they started demanding things? We're just gonna go in there, there probably aren't even hostages. There's a lot of blatant disregard for human life by the authorities in this movie.
The outside police just literally don't give a shit about the hostages.
I believe when, the FBI, and there's like the Vietnam sniper guy, and he's like, we might lose like 20% of the hostages, and the FBI guy is like, hey, I like those numbers.
Yeah, sounds good to me. Can we do more?
Can you shoot 1 or 2 of them for me?
Just pick them off while we're up here. No one will know.
Deputy Dwayne surmises that the guy who shot at Powell's car is probably John McClane, the person that he's talking to on the radio, Mr. Roy Rogers with his sweet roast beef sandwiches.
Stop it, I'm hungry.
John warns Officer Powell of what's going to happen if the police go in, but the police don't want to listen. So Hans gets everyone into position. Now Theo's the eyes of the operation. He's being cameraman at this point, watching the cameras.
Everyone's on candid camera.
So everyone starts getting into position at this point as the officers start, running towards the door. One of Hans's dudes is a member of the Wing Kong from Big Trouble in Little China, if you noticed. The guy with kind of like the stringy long hair, kind of balding on top. He was the one with the... I don't think he was the bandolier one. He was the one with the hatchet.
Nice. Professional, beat people up thug.
He sets up shop at the snack bar and then grabs himself something to eat.
Nice.
I like that shot lingers on him for so long, where he's just kind of like he's looking down at the snack bar, and he just kind of, while still looking out into the hallway, kind of reaches his hand into the snack bar to grab. I think we see it's... God, I don't remember what we see. We see it later. He has something. We'll come back to it.
Relatable.
Argyle is looking for exits at this point to no avail, and he notices the bear in the rearview mirror, and he goes, "Shut up."
I love Argyle.
Great pattern, great character.
Yep, absolutely.
The cops get into position here. Theo sees them coming. It's time to kick ass. So the guys on the upper floors start shooting the lights that the police bring, and Hans tells the Wing Kong guy to just wound them. So he does. He just kind of shoots... Here's where some people are getting shot in the legs, Kristen.
Finally, satisfaction.
The police go, all right, it's time to send in the armored car, the fucking armored vehicle, the 6-wheeled fucking tank thing that the LAPD just have.
The civilian tank.
But Kristen, Hans foresaw this. They got RPGs.
Yep, I remember distinctly when John was talking on the phone earlier, being like, yeah, they have missiles.
I don't know where he saw that they had missiles, but yeah, they have missiles.
I believe when he was first leaving the room he was talking to Holly in, one of the first doors that he checks, he sees some of the terrorist guys pushing along a cart that looked like the long packages they used to get the RPGs out of them later.
I see. All right. Okay.
And they were helpfully labeled.
Also, as they are like rushing that cart over to go start shooting at the tank as it comes closer, one of the RPGs falls from the cart, and I thought that was going to come back, but it doesn't actually.
Yeah, I don't think so either.
A red herring, I guess, or maybe it was from a cut scene or something like that. Who knows?
Who knows?
It's a pretty advanced... Kristen, this tank, as it starts arriving here, it looks sufficiently advanced for 1988, but it gets stuck on some stairs.
Oops.
Apparently, they didn't run any field exercises with trying to drive it upstairs.
I can see why they wouldn't think this is a scenario that would come up.
It makes it a complete sitting duck here, and I mean, I don't know, it takes a hit pretty well. I mean, it's mostly the missiles hitting the tank is just, again, the terrorist kind of posturing, I guess, because it doesn't really do anything to the tank.
Yeah, they seem to make it pretty clear after the first shot that the people inside of it are mostly okay, but not after the second shot.
So, yeah, Hans orders to hit the truck again. John don't like the idea of that. He grabs the fire axe, and he opens up the elevator shaft, putting some C4 on a chair. I don't know what he's trying... I mean, I understand what he's trying to do here. I understand he's just trying to...
He's making his own explodey.
He's making his own explodey, and I guess it's a means to distract Hans, I guess.
Well, because you drop the C4 down the elevator shaft, the elevator is stopped on the floor that the guy shooting the RPGs is on. All of their missiles are there, so you explode the C4, you explode the missiles, you explode the entire floor.
Oh, but I thought, like, the bottom floor was the one that gets blown out, though, right?
Is that what happens? I don't know.
Because you just gave a really good explanation, but I don't think that's what happens.
Oh, no. This is what happens. I'm playing Pokemon Moon while I'm watching this movie. My Poplio has all my attention.
So he puts a computer monitor on it as well to kind of give it some weight, because, God, computer monitors, Kristen, they ain't light.
No, they ain't.
Especially CRT computer monitors. So he pushes it down the shaft, which blows out, one of the lower levels of the plaza. Something explodes, and a big goddamn fireball shoots up the elevator shaft and nearly kills John.
Yeah, he keeps his face down there the entire time the explosion is happening. Come on.
Carl thinks that it's the police, but Hans knows that it's C4 being used here, that the police are using artillery for some reason, which, not really the case.
Nope.
The news people are interested in the story, whatever. Again, skipping the news people here. The news says that Hans is a member of a German group, or at least was, that he was excommunicated from the group earlier in the day.
Cool.
John gets into contact with Powell, lets him know that he's all right, and senior policeman here at this point, Deputy Dwayne, grabs the radio. We don't want your help. We don't want any. No solicitors.
He gives Dwayne's Everywhere a bad name. Such as Dwayne The Rock Johnson.
If only The Rock were this character.
God, if only. You could say that about most any character in most any movie.
He introduces himself as such as Deputy Chief of Police Dwayne something or other, and assures John that they are in control. And you ain't in charge of jack shit, from my perspective.
Hee.
The deputy calls John an asshole, to which John responds he's not the one who just got butt-fucked on national television.
And we cut to Argyle giggling and slapping his hands together.
Argyle did like that one, yes.
I like that one too.
Powell gets the radio back, and he assures him, hang in there, man. And
Joe, we're going to get more into this as the movie continues, but I would like to note that I am way more invested in John's relationship with Officer Powell than I am in his relationship with his wife.
I wrote some notes about that by the end of the movie, but yes.
About how they fall in love.
About how they kiss right in front of Holly.
Yep, basically.
We cut back. Ellis is doing some coke hits off of his...
Bumps!
Again, his hand here. He's doing some bumps. Whatever. He's got a plan. He has negotiated $1 million deals before breakfast, Kristen. He could deal with this Euro trash.
Of course he can. I trust him. Trust the coke man.
So he stands right up and just starts yelling at, I don't remember if it's Carl or if it's just one of the people watching over the group. And he goes, sprechen talk. Fuck you.
They were clearly speaking English.
Hans is chastising Carl when Ellis is brought in to talk with him. Again, he's, Carl, you don't fuck this up for me, Carl. I swear to God.
I know you're full of brother rage, but cool it.
Ellis is here, and he's trying to do his smooth talker routine, and it's not about what I want, it's about what I can offer you. Hans, booby, I got the goods.
Oh, baby, I love you. Come here.
Hans is full sarcasm mode as he's talking with Ellis, because Ellis is, I believe, making just some very obvious points. Just like, hey, you're in this, I understand, he's being just...
You're not terrorists, you're smarter than that. But the police, this and that. And, like, the great thing about Alan Rickman's sarcasm mode is that it's, like, just barely indistinguishable from his actual voice. So he's just like, you must be amazing to have figured all of this out already.
It's even more humorless than normal.
Yes, he, like, completely recedes inside himself.
Alan Rickman doesn't even have to change his voice to get humor out of things, because he just ends up being more dry. He just goes drier.
His default setting is act.
Ellis is an asshole, plain and simple. It looks like he's gonna sell out John. I don't know what Ellis's plan was here, Kristen.
I guess he thinks that if he got John to stop wreaking havoc as if he had a choice in the first place, then it would somehow help the hostages situation, and that is as charitable as I'm willing to be with Ellis.
Best case scenario, he's looking out for everyone. Worst case scenario, he gets John McClane killed so he can go right in on that Holly action.
Yeah, joke's on him. John is in love with Officer Powell now.
John and Powell resume their conversation. There's going to be a lot of this, Kristen. A lot of us just talking about what John and Al
developing romance.
Are saying to each other. Yes, they're developing romance.
We might have to start speeding past some of this stuff.
John's trying to choke down some old-ass Twinkies, and Powell's eyes light up, because this is where he falls in love, Kristen, because he starts listing off the ingredients of Twinkies, including, the things of, like, red number 4 and shit.
Red dye number 4, please. Enriched sweetened flour and corn syrup and stuff like that. And they talk about their kids, and Powell's kid in progress.
And here is where the party is broken up, because Hans reveals he knows John's identity at this point, because...
I definitely read your note as Hans reveals that he knows Jem's identity.
Is this Miss Jerica Benton, I presume?
When did you find out? Who told you?
Good thing Hans falls off a building at the end of the movie.
Thank God.
He reveals he has a friend here at the party, too, and John is clear, like, he looks like he's, He looks clearly like he's just like, oh no, they got Holly, fuck. But then Ellis takes the radio, and he's just like, John, my good friend, how are you doing? John, Booby, how's it going?
Boop, boop, ba-doop, it's me.
John is just like, Ellis, what the fuck are you doing? And Ellis is just like, oh, I told him we were old friends, John. I'm sorry. I just had to. Hey, somebody bring me a Coke, please. And Coke. No. I understand that you're giving me soda. No, you know what? Doesn't matter. Anyway, John, if you don't hand over those detonators, they're gonna kill me. So,
I love that Ellis appears to be freestyling this story, and he's like, oh, they're gonna kill me, and then he looks over at Hans like, I'm so good at this, aren't I? And Hans is like, oh my god, you are.
Yeah, as he says, if you don't give me the detonators, ooh, they're gonna kill me, ooh, I'm so scared, and then Hans takes out a gun, and Ellis is just like, hey, wait a minute, one sec, Hans, this is radio we're dealing with, this isn't television, you don't need the visual medium here, what are you doing with that gun? Point it at my head. Uh-oh.
Please don't.
And John, for some reason, sells out Ellis here. I don't know why he just goes, I
have another theory.
Please.
Kristen, bring the Die Hard theories hard. Die Hard theories. Hard. Anyway, that's my slogan. I think what he is attempting to do is be like, no. Okay, listen, Hans, I don't actually know this guy, so don't kill him, because it's not going to get me to do anything. Like, you're not going to exercise power over me by killing this guy that I literally just met tonight.
Which, yeah, makes sense. It doesn't come across very well on the radio, though, because Ellis probably needs a friend at this point, as he chokes down his Coke and then gets shot in the head. Goodbye, asshole.
Blammo.
His can of Coke, not his cocaine.
Both at once, probably. Simultaneous drinking Coke, doing another bump.
Again, I'd really like to assume that he asked Carl, you got any Coke? And they bring him a Coca-Cola.
Oh, not what I meant.
Hans wants those detonators. So he takes the radio out because there's basically, everybody's watching very intently as Ellis is, because they could see into the office and everybody starts screaming as Ellis gets shot. And Hans takes the radio out and starts, broadcasting the pained screams of everyone. And he's just like, give me those detonators or I'm gonna shoot another one. Go fuck yourself, Hans.
Eventually I might get to one that you do care about.
Ooh, that's a deep cut.
Unfortunately, there is only one, so if this plan was gone through with, it would have taken a while.
If he's lucky, it would have taken a while.
Yeah.
Remember, Holly is the leader of the people, so Hans may try to display power by killing her shortly after. It's
not what happened, so theorizing over.
You're right. Deputy Dwayne wants to take over at this point. He believes that John just got a man killed, and that's tantamount to pulling the trigger himself.
Yeah, Officer Powell turns into, the literal voice for the audience, where he's like, it sounded like he did everything that he could. He's, what can we expect from him? Blah, blah, blah. You're not up there. And it's like, okay, thank you.
So Hans calls over to the police finally, and Hans gives his list of phony demands of all these people to be released from capture, these terrorist groups. The only one that I remember is Asian Dawn, because that one elicits a response from Carl of him mouthing the words Asian Dawn, and Hans turning off the radio and going, I read about them in Time magazine.
Yep. So he just has a bunch of stuff to distract the FBI, and then they were like, wait, no, could you give us the list again, please? Could you repeat the question?
Talk slower.
And he just puts the radio down. He's like, and now they're going to do that.
He gives them 1 hour, I believe, to release all of these people. 2 hours, okay, excuse me. He gives them 2 hours, so even then, he starts with 1 hour, and then Deputy goes, 2 hours, and Hans is just like, oh, all right. So 2 hours.
We're gonna bargain. I think it's Christmas.
Theo has finished all of the locks here, and all that's left is the electromagnetic seal, which it's going to take a miracle to get through, and Hans goes, it's Christmas! It's the time of miracles, my dear Theo. He also sends Carl after John to get those detonators, because again, detonators are the key at this point. Needs those detonators.
It's kind of a thing.
Yeah, John and Powell are still talking. He did all that he could, And the news has some hostage book writer guy on, whatever, again, skip this. The FBI are here now! Oh, shit! Agent Johnson & Johnson, I love their baby oil!
Shit, that was another good joke.
They are taking charge from Deputy Dwayne here, and Hans is checking up on the explosives. He is on the roof because I guess he just needed to go see. And So it's a good thing that he sets down his gun and his flashlight as he's looking over the C4, and as Hans gets down, he finds a gun in his face, courtesy of Mr. John McClane.
And for a little bit, because, again, Pop Leo, when I looked up, I didn't really understand what was happening in this scene. I saw him put the gun down and everything, knew he wasn't a good guy, but in the different lighting and everything, and with the scared expression for a split second, I was like, wait, who the fuck is this guy? And then I'm like, that's Alan Rickman, right? And I kept looking, I'm like, that has to be Alan Rickman. And then I understood that he was acting, and I'm like, oh, okay, now I understand.
Yep, John McClane had not seen Hans Gruber, and Hans, quick thinker, starts kind of like putting on an accent. He's just like, oh no, oh, don't shoot me! And you're one of them, aren't you? And this fools him, this fools John McClane.
Kind of.
Well, I mean, he's still careful, as he should be, but Hans starts, I believe it's just something like, I was trying to, like, signal people, come on, this way, and he tries to, like, lead him back towards his gun, so Hans can grab the gun and shoot him, but, no, you stick with me, Mr. Man, there's too many terrorists around, come on, let's go.
Let's go, new best friend.
Going to Planet Hollywood, let's go.
Yeah, man, is that the second time you said Planet Hollywood?
The third time I've referenced Planet Hollywood.
Ah, nice. God, I'm so hungry.
The deputy is explaining the situation to the FBI. We're back down with them. You know, the FBI are still in charge. Officer Powell asks what the hell the FBI are going to do about John, and they don't really answer about it.
He's from New York. We don't give a shit.
That's out of our jurisdiction. We don't cover New York as the Federal Bureau of Investigation.
Federal, excluding New York.
John's looking at his cigarettes. He really don't got many left. He's only got 2, in fact. He gives the last one to Hans, and Hans starts, like, fishing for info from John, just getting that he's a cop from New York, which, again, I believe is information that he already had.
Yeah, so we have a great Quentin Tarantino shot of John and his dirty, dirty feet.
Gross.
Very yucky.
Hans, remarks on the fact that, don't got no shoes, and John's just like, it's better to be caught with your pants down. Cigarette.
So they smoke.
Yeah, John takes note of an employee registry, like, behind Hans, and asks his name. And there's a second of, there's the tense music as it kind of slowly zooms in on Alan Rickman, and he's just like, Clay. Bill Clay. And as it turns out, William Clay is on the list. So again, Hans Gruber is such a fucking smooth operator, goddamn.
Yep, works out. Well, not really.
He offers Hans his gun, asking if he even knows how to use one, and again, he starts, feeding him a line, like, I played paintball, you probably think it's really stupid.
I really don't think his accent was that good.
That's the weird thing, is I thought that Alan Rickman was good at American accents, but, I mean, you can only cover your voice, so he's doing an accent, but he still sounds like Alan Rickman.
Yeah, that's the complicated thing. That might have been his undoing.
If you're only hearing a voice through a walkie-talkie, it probably doesn't sound the same as actually hearing it, especially with a different accent, but...
Yeah, I think it would depend pretty heavily on whether or not a person actually had a distinct voice, because, there's just, like, deep masculine voice, and then there are people who have, like, just straight-up, very easily identifiable voices. Like Lucy in Twin Peaks. She wouldn't be able to mask her voice.
Like Ellen Green as Audrey.
Like Ellen Green.
So... he hands over the gun and starts walking towards the elevator here. Hans gives up the axe at this point. He starts speaking into German in his radio and points the gun at John. And he asks very kindly to, give me my detonators, put the gun down. It won't be that bad. Don't worry about it. And John comments, you ought to be on fucking TV with that accent.
He's in movies instead.
Hans gives John to the count of 3. And... John remarks, like the 3 that you gave Mr. Takagi.
And then he just pulls the trigger.
And surprise, no bullets.
And John is like, do you think I'm fucking stupid?
And then the elevator dings, and Hans is like, I don't know, are you? And there's a shootout. There's broken glass everywhere. Somebody get the fucking limp lizards, Kristen, with all this broken glass. Some dude's knees get shot out in a very gruesome fashion as the shootout continues here. Hans realizes, again, John McClane don't got no shoes, so he orders Carl to start shooting the glass. John ends up out of bullets in his automatic gun, and he is left with just his pistol. He sees the exit close by, but wow, look at all that broken glass, and me with no shoes. Ugh!
God bless him, he goes for it. I have had glass in my feet as recently as 4 years ago, during my freshman year of college. I broke a glass plate by accident, and then kept stepping on glass pieces because I did not have a way to very thoroughly sweep it up. And man, having a little bit of glass in your feet fucking sucks.
That's why you wear slippers, Kristen.
I know. Or flip-flops if you're like me and are too lazy to buy slippers for the winter.
Carl rolls out one of those flash grenade hockey puck things, but John is already gone at that point. In the process, he did leave behind the detonators, and we see again there's the hostage crisis guy on TV. Fuck it, whatever, it doesn't matter. The newswoman is offering info on John McClane to Newsman, and this is where they're gonna go hassle
The kids.
They hassle the kids, basically, yeah. Hans gets back. Carl is angry as shit that John got away, and Holly is... They're back on the main floor, I should say. Hans and Carl get back to the main floor of where the hostages are, and Holly remarks that only John can get someone that crazy.
Waka waka, because, yeah, Carl is, like, beating a, like, service tray
like a
with
drink
his
cart
gun.
or something.
Yeah. So John's still alive, but boy, he got some bloody feet.
Powell and John start talking again, casual conversation, as John is pulling glass shards from his feet, just, apparently... Well, one thing I wanted to note as well, the scene with Hans and John on the roof there was apparently unrehearsed, just so they could get a more sort of spontaneous feeling between the two actors, which is nice, I like that.
Yeah.
And the scene here of the fact that, Powell just being like, hey, we got a death pool going for you, and John being like, oh, put me in for 20, I'm good, is apparently all of this was unrehearsed as well, or at least ad-libbed by Bruce Willis or something like that.
Nice. I cannot stop thinking about the glass in the feet thing. Joe, have you stepped on glass before?
I have not, but I have had glass in me, and I know it's an unpleasant experience. In any part of me.
Well, the problem specifically with your feet is the bottoms of your feet have a shitload of nerves, like nerve endings in them.
Yeah, putting a lot of pressure on them a lot of time, too, so...
Yeah, so, like, there's no good way for that to work.
So, here's where we get a thing, Kristen. John asks Officer Powell why he ended up behind a desk. He was not terribly interested. He's an old man. He's not interested in doing the beats anymore. He's not out on the streets. And...
He's not that old. He's getting his first kid.
Well... He had an accident, Kristen. He shot a kid. Now, he doesn't say he killed a kid. He shot a kid. I don't know if we're supposed to infer that the kid is dead.
Yeah, no one said anything. It would still be pretty traumatizing to shoot a kid.
He had a ray gun, and it was dark, and given the state of America today, Kristen, I don't think that shit would fly at all.
Nope. Man, the 80s were a different time.
74 cents a gallon for gas. Cops shooting kids whenever they want. Fuck it. He'll brush it off. He's a kid.
It was the wild fucking West.
I don't know. That was one thing that stuck with me, just like, ooh, kind of thing about the movie. But yeah, that's it.
Well,
Yep, let's not talk. Let's not have this conversation.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Yep, a little bit too deep for the podcast here. We're talking about a fun Christmas movie.
Yes, Christmas movie. Count it.
So Theo and Hans are looking over what's going on outside on the security cameras. Hans can tell which guys are going to go and cut the power, because that's normal FBI procedure to do so in terrorist instances. They're following what the FBI has on terrorism to the letter. And Theo realizes when they cut the power, now the electromagnetic seal can't be disengaged from the inside, but if they cut the power, nothing you could do about it. So... So that is the Christmas miracle, is the FBI cutting the power. And we see the FBI people are, like, badgering the construction worker power line people.
Yeah, some dumb back and forth dialogue happens. It's not important. The power gets turned off.
The power gets turned off, and the vault opens up. Ode to Joy is blaring loudly. There's samurai armor in there, too, which,
nice.
Cool, I guess.
Yeah, there's some old, art and shit. Fancy things.
Back outside, Powell asks what the plan is now, and the FBI says, let them sweat, and then they'll give them the helicopters that they want. Yeah, the helicopters that they want, with the missiles and the machine guns on them that can't transport people.
The helicopters. Those hostages won't know what hit them. I mean, those terrorists.
Agent Johnson also gets on the line, and he goes, yeah, this is Johnson. No, the other one.
Not my husband.
Fully armed air support will arrive in 5 minutes.
Cool.
Theo is leafing through the bonds. He is very excited. Hans calls over to the FBI. They each have their own plan, basically. Hans is going to blow the roof when the choppers land. The FBI are going to put them all to bed, because they're not even going to land. They're just going to shoot everybody first.
Yep.
Back to John, blood everywhere. He at least, like, wrapped up his one foot in fabric of some sort, and he does his whole, like, tell my wife I love her speech.
Yeah, that happens. It's at this point I started thinking about our discussion of Blade Runner and, like, the appropriate amount of fatigue the hero should be feeling at some point. Because at this point, I feel like John should just be laying down on the ground waiting. Like, not that he is about to die or anything, but he should be pretty tired. And he still has, like, so many stunts he needs to go through.
Adrenaline is a wonderful thing, I guess, Kristen.
I guess.
Oh, and I'm sorry, he doesn't go tell my wife I love her. He specifically says, she's heard me say I love you so many times. Tell her I'm sorry.
Powell says, you're gonna say it. To me. I love you.
John says that it's all in the hands of the man upstairs, and I thought he was doing a thing of, like, saying that he, like, not referring to God, but literally saying a man upstairs, and then that line makes him remember, Hans, what the fuck were you doing on the roof when I found you there?
So he talks to himself a little bit, and he's like, I'm gonna go onto the roof and check some stuff out.
We see the newsmen, they're talking to the house lady from earlier, and, he threatens to call the INS on her, so there we go.
Again, there's nothing good about these reporter characters, the newscasters, any of them.
John is on the roof, he finds the C4, and, is pretty much just like, oh, shit. Because John thought he had all of the C4, which was like maybe 2 sticks, when there's like 40 sticks.
Yup, there's way more. Makes me wonder what that one guy was doing with just a little bit of C4, but whatever.
He was shaving off the top. He was just like, Hans, we brought 40 sticks of C4, even though he ordered 42 of them. So he goes to call Powell and gets a gun barrel against his cheek. Again, a common theme in this movie, courtesy of...
Just right in the mouth.
Right in the mouth.
I just always imagine any stick up, just the gun barrel just going, just like, clacking up against the teeth, like, hello.
Right in the mouth. Fight Club style.
Yep. He does manage to yell something about them getting double-crossed into the radio before it gets squished.
Hand crushed by Carl.
Yup, but then there is a fight that is not particularly interesting.
No, I understand I care more. It's the burly Nazi dude from Raiders of the Lost Ark. It's just like, it's a fun fight scene, but there's really, that John McClane isn't going to die, so you're there just to see the guy get chopped up by the helicopter blade. Like, okay, I got it.
Yeah, I have made my stance on action movies known before. I like the suspense in this movie more than the actual, like, time to fight, woo, like the elevator dings, and I'm like, that's my shit. But the actual fights, it's like they're grappling. Okay, if they're not both hot and shirtless and covered in oil, what's the point?
Well, Bruce Willis is covered in oil, except it's like greasy oil.
No, he looks gross by this point in the movie.
So Hans is ready to start rounding up the people to head to the roof. He notices that the TV man is talking to one of the kids from the pictures in Holly's office, and there it is. He upturns the picture, and there's the picture with Bruce Willis on it. Oh, fuck!
Shit!
I thought he was married to Demi Moore.
Wait, but where does Astrid Kutcher fit into the picture?
So Hans fires his gun into the air, orders everyone to the roof, grabbing Holly to keep her behind. Carl and John are still fighting. The FBI guy in the helicopter is talking to a sniper. And here's where, yes, he goes, I think, we can get him out. Lose about 20% of the hostages. And the FBI guy's like, yeah, no, that's good. That's cool. I like that.
And my joke again about him asking if they can do it any higher. Remember when I said that? That was pretty funny. They're
expecting transports, not gunships. So kind of keep it low. Keep it low here, buddy.
Uh-huh.
Hans brings Holly to the area where I wrote on the main floor. Apparently this safe...
I don't know.
...is on the 30th floor? I thought it was, like, in the basement or on, like, the main... whatever. Doesn't matter. He goes to where Theo is and, basically just kind of goes to rub it in John's face that he has his wife. And with no radio answer, Hans is a little perplexed.
He's like, I got your wife, and then there's nothing. And he's like, who am I mocking? That was a little bit embarrassing. No one heard me.
We'll skip to the end of the fight. Doesn't matter here. He wraps a chain around Carl's neck and, like, pushes him out, so he ends up, smacking into a wall and hanging him with a chain.
Yeah, this movie has made me start to wonder if I'm a sociopath. Some of the kills have been kind of cool, and I really like watching people get shot in the legs. I've noticed every single time a particularly cool, violent thing happened, I've gone, yeah, and leaned forward.
Hans is packing the stuff, everybody's getting ready to leave, and Holly is just like, so at the end of the day, after all that posturing, all that fucking, like, look at me, I'm a big bad terrorist, you're just a common thief.
I'm an exceptional thief, Mr. Potter.
So we go back to the FBI guy and the sniper in the helicopter. And...
Do I have a question?
Yes, please.
How relieved do you think everyone's going to be that we didn't attempt Alan Rickman impressions through this entire thing?
I have too much respect for Alan Rickman to attempt to make his voice.
No, we reserve that for Stallone and Frankenstein and Torgo.
Mostly Torgo.
Mostly Torgo.
Boy, would this movie be different if Hans Gruber was Torgo. I think it would sound a little something like this.
No.
So the FBI guy and the sniper are still in the helicopter, kind of flying close to the ground, and he goes, just like fucking Saigon, eh, slick there! And...
rock and roll!
The FBI guy comments, I was a child during the Vietnam War. Fuck off. It just reminds me of the scene in Full Metal Jacket of Joker talking to the gunner in the plane, and just him talking about how he'll just, hey, they're all VC to me, dude. Women, children, bang! Fucking 80 confirmed kills, rock and roll, blah, blah, blah.
Okay, calm down.
Vietnam was terrible.
Yeah. Hey, Joe, let's take a hardline stance. War is bad.
So the Wing Kong guy gets some lead in his belly as John gets to the roof.
Delicious.
Tells everyone...
Again, I think I have a problem. Maybe it's the Dayquil.
As he tells everyone to get downstairs, and he's asking for Holly, and they're all kind of panicked and shit. And John, not necessarily against his better judgment, but I mean, he knows that a helicopter's coming, probably. So he starts shooting his gun in the air to get the attention of everyone, to get him downstairs.
Yeah, no one is listening to him. I understand his frustration at this moment, and I understand the hostages being freaked out and not wanting to leave when they can see helicopters.
And I understand the helicopter guy going, oh, look at that guy shooting the gun. He's the terrorist. Let's shoot him.
Mm-hmm. Though I do love when the helicopter starts to shoot at him, he runs away and he's like, I'm trying to help you guys, you dumb motherfuckers.
Here's where another dangerous thing happens that John McClane does.
This seems like one of the most impossible things.
Yeah, some people give James Bond movies shit for unrealistic things happening. I don't quite think this would work the way it does, where he ties a fire hose around his waist to get off the roof, because...
It seems like he would Gwen Stacy himself.
There would be some whiplash, I would assume, yes, because free fall is certainly something, but...
Mm-hmm. Like, if he had some time to, like, wrap it around, like, the inside of his thighs as well to get, like, a harness going, I would get it, because there's more, like, area of your body that it can hold on to instead of one central point where your spine is.
He's gonna end up like Aja in Last Resort and get split in half.
Exactly. And he ties, like, a really good knot, I guess. Either that or that rubber has a lot of friction with itself.
Maybe. I don't know. Maybe...
It looks cool, so maybe I don't care.
Yeah, it looks cool, and he doesn't really fall... He only falls, like, maybe 1 or 2 floors, so maybe he didn't pick up enough momentum to get his neck snapped when he finally...
Yeah. I was kind of wondering if he was going to try and rappel, but no, he straight up jumps.
No, he jumps because the roof blows up at this point.
Yeah, if he rappelled, I wouldn't have such a problem with it, I think.
That's what I assumed he was going to do, but yeah, not quite the case. The roof blows up because the guy who was sitting at the front desk, who I started referring to as Huey Lewis, because he looks like Huey Lewis.
Okay, good to know.
He advises Hans that the people are coming down, so Hans is just like, let's fucking blow up the roof, let's do it. So he does. The helicopter gets caught in the crossfire, so R.I.P. one of the Agent Johnsons, along with Vietnam Sniper Man.
Yep, so nothing of value was lost.
John ends up kind of hitting one of the windows. He pushes back against it when he realizes he can't kick through, shoots through it, and just kind of flies through as he realizes that the thing holding the
coil. Yeah,
holding the coil has gone from the wall, and it falls down past him, and he very quickly has to undo the knot as well, so he isn't dragged out of the building.
Mm-hmm. It's at this point that I believe he's getting to that Harrison Ford level of... Gosh, I'm having a really rough day.
Getting too old for this shit.
Mm-hmm. That Blade Runner level of, isn't this enough? Aren't I done yet?
I need to take a nap and dream about a unicorn.
I need a unicorn break.
John is walking around back on the 30th floor. The elevator dings and you think that people are going to come out, but it blows up immediately.
Yup.
Argyle is driving around still. He sees a van driving out of that big-ass truck that the terrorists came in. John is back on the floor with Hans and Huey Lewis and Holly.
He went swimming in the fountain a little bit.
Yeah, he went swimming in the fountain to avoid another explosion.
So he looks even more crazy now.
He reloads his gun, and he, again, since he can't talk to Officer Powell, he's talking to himself. I'm coming, honey. Don't worry about it. I'm coming.
Gotta talk to myself.
Argyle plays the part of superhero as he drives directly into the van that would be, I guess, the escape vehicle for Hans and company, and then punches Theo in the face. What a goddamn hero.
And he seems so psyched about him. He starts doing the Uptown Funk shuffle back and forth.
Smoother than a fresh jar of Skippy, Kristen, right in the face.
Yeah! Julio, get the stretch.
Oh my god.
Yeah. Except he's Julio in this.
We join John back in progress here. The guy with the bearer bonds, runs out and gets the butt of a gun in his face for his trouble, and, the bearer bonds all slip out there, and he calls out Hans. He is very strained. He just goes, Hans!
Hey.
Oh, God, I've been through so much shit today.
Can I, hug you for a second? Just rest, close my eyes.
Hans comes out here with Holly, has the gun to her head, threatens.
In her mouth.
John is equally angry about the fact that this was all over a robbery and he needed to go so far. And Hans, pretty much correct. If you steal $600, you could get away with it. But if you steal 600 million, people are going to come after you unless they think you're dead. Which, yeah, probably true. But now because they blew the roof too early, they probably don't think he's dead.
Yeah, the plan is a little bit kaput at this point.
So John has to put his gun down, and he does so at the request of Hans here. Puts his hands on his head, and Hans again chides John for being a cowboy, but this time John Wayne ain't gonna walk off into the sunset with Grace Kelly.
That was Gary Cooper, you asshole.
Ooh, love me some High Noon. High Noon was a good movie.
Joe, did you notice, did you surmise that the gun was taped to his back before we actually are shown it?
It's one of those things that gets referenced a lot, actually, in terms of... I remember seeing that as a reference somewhere, and I remember there was the shot where he looks at the tape, which I forgot to mention. When he gets out of the elevator here, he sees, or when he gets out of the pool or whatever, he sees the tape. That's
the thing. I was wondering if you didn't write it down in your notes because when you were first watching, you didn't notice the shot of him looking at the tape.
Right, and I remember, just from, it was referenced in some media of, having the gun taped to your back, and nobody is there to see his back, so nobody would have any reason to...
And
think so.
He is shirtless at this point.
Yes, as well. So John commends Hans, saying, you would have been a good cowboy. And Hans goes, yeah, what was it you said to me? Yippee-ki-yay, motherfucker.
Close. And then everyone starts laughing.
John laughs, Hans laughs, Huey Lewis starts laughing, Holly starts laughing with the barrel of a gun in her mouth, and then here's where there's the reveal of the gun taped to his back, to which John grabs the gun, and just as Hans is about to shoot, he shoots Hans and shoots Huey Lewis in the head. I believe we saw that he only had 2 bullets, I think, right? 2?
Yes, he did. So good aim.
Good aim, killing Huey Lewis. Sorry we're not going to get to hear the Heart of Rock and Roll anymore. Sorry, we're not going to get to hear whatever song you contribute to Back to the Future, Part 2.
My condolences to the news.
That was good. I like that one.
You're welcome.
Hans, stumbles back and breaks through some glass, and he's still holding on to Holly as he's hanging from the building, as Holly is hanging inward. Bruce Willis is, holding on to Holly.
At first I thought she was trying to save him.
No, he's, holding on to her watch.
Yep.
Which, here we go. Here's where it is. Hans starts to aim his gun, and John just quickly undoes the clasp on the watch. And at this point, Kristen, I mentioned to you before we started recording, I believe one of the more well-known facts of trivia about this movie, Alan Rickman's face as he is being dropped here. He was told they were going to drop him on 3, and the director dropped him on 2, so...
He has a real good face, so good job.
A real good, oh, shit
Oh,
face.
You're a liar.
So they get a big kiss, which Kristen, John McClane, is all sweaty and got fucking elevator grease all over him and blood, and...
And she just rubs her face all up in it.
Oh, God. Ugh. Ugh.
I mean, I guess it's preferable to the gun she just had in her mouth.
She's like, ooh, you taste exactly like the gun.
Nice. Let's get out of here. They walk down a lot of stairs, and they don't show us that, thankfully.
Everything looks like shit at the plaza after tonight. The news arrive. John and Holly are helped out by some firemen. Here's where John and Officer Powell exchange some meetings. They know, Kristen, they know each other. They have not seen what the other person looks like. They have not heard their voices. in real life, only over a walkie-talkie, but they look and they know.
They see the tenderness in each other's eyes.
And then Dreamweaver starts playing, and it gets the Saved by the Bell pink border, and they run into each other's arms, and they share a big, stupid kiss.
And they both start crying a little bit, like they're in love.
They do hug. That is this is where I commented, this is the truest romance of the movie.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, by the end of the movie, I was like, absolutely.
John introduces, this is my wife, Holly Gennaro, and she's just like, Holly McClane, thank you.
My boss is dead, so I'm in charge of this company now.
Deputy Dwayne comes through the crowd, and he's just like, John McClane, you got some splaining to do.
Great.
Here's where we see Carl emerges from, like, the rubble or something.
What?
Looking like total shit, like charred, like a fucking, like the joke cigar went off in his face in Looney Tunes or something.
I was so confused by this. At first, I was like, there's no way that can be Carl because he got hanged.
And he's stronger than that, I guess.
Very strong neck muscles.
And
how did he get down?
He did. Doesn't matter, Kristen, because he's gonna kill John McClane, but nope. And one thing I realized we forgot to mention here, Kristen, Officer Powell made note of when he said that after he shot the kid, he didn't have the heart to raise his gun to anyone else ever again. So this is big character development.
Because he's in love with John.
Because he is in love with John, shoots Carl and kills him, and it's like, hooray, we forgive you, Officer Powell, yay! Back to the beats. Don't shoot any more kids, please.
Please. But good job.
Argyle breaks through the parking garage, and Officer Powell is about to take him out, too, and John has to be like, no, this one's with me.
So one of the shitty news anchors tries to stop them for a question, and God bless the director of this movie, Holly punches him in the face.
Holly, doing what we both wanted to do, just punches the news anchor in the face. It's the end of Death Race 2000, where Argyle runs him over.
Mrs. President Frankenstein.
John and Holly share a kiss as they go into the limo and say Merry Christmas, and Argyle's like, if this is your idea of Christmas, I can't wait for New Year's! Let it snow, Kristen! That was Die Hard!
Yeah! And then they adopt Argyle.
That is Die Hard. What a goddamn good movie.
It is! I was really surprised at how much I liked it, because I'm not a big action movie person, but I was, like, super into this movie.
And it's like you said, it's a lot of it pays off almost all of the setups. It's got a lot of good shit going for it, and
it doesn't treat its viewers like it's not paying attention.
Right, and paying attention.
I was so absorbed in Poplio. My Poplio that I named Gatorade because it's the color of blue Gatorade, which is my favorite flavor.
So, Kristen, I believe the big question is, and it's really there at the beginning. They want you to know that it's Christmas Eve at the beginning of this movie, and then you forget, and then it comes back at the end. I think Die Hard has a place among Christmas movies. I don't think it should be primarily called a Christmas movie, however.
Oh, obviously not. I think the thing that makes this discussion work is the fact that you cannot celebrate it being Christmas from Die Hard without ruining the movie or just not working. Like, you can't say, ignore all the shit about Christmas, because it's there in the themes and the dialogue and the soundtrack.
Yeah. And so for all the people who are being all big old sourpusses about Die Hard being a Christmas movie, I'm going to alienate you right now. Die Hard, again, I wouldn't say, if you want to watch a Christmas movie, watch Charlie Brown Christmas, watch Elf or whatever, watch that first, watch Christmas Story.
You can still watch It's a Wonderful Life.
Yeah, we're not saying to have Die Hard play 24 hours a day on TNT every Christmas.
That's for the Yule log.
Yep. Put Die Hard somewhere between A Christmas Story and the Yule log, if you will.
And I think that's great.
Put it in the space where Holiday Inn would be, so you don't have to watch Bing Crosby do a routine in blackface.
Yes, we don't want that. Remove the racist things. Put in Die Hard.
White Christmas is a great song, Bing Crosby going, whoop!
Oof. I wish you didn't remind me that that's a thing.
I know, because it's a hard pill to swallow. Just like, yeah, Bing Crosby, he's so nice. Yeah, White Christmas. Oh, no.
No, that part's not good.
I think I had to watch that movie for school, or, around high school, you watch movies around Christmas because the teachers don't want to teach.
Yep.
And I think that was one that we watched, and when that part came up, I was like, what the fuck is this?
I recently found out that the old CVS I used to go to all the time, that was very close to my college, used to be a theater that played one of the really famous blackface shows. Yeah.
And now it's a CVS.
And now it's a CVS, so that's an improvement at least. But I was like, oh no, my CVS is racist. Good thing I don't go to that CVS anymore.
But I think, bottom line, I mean, if you don't think Die Hard's a Christmas movie, that's fine. Because, I mean, there are probably other movies out there that deal with Christmas as a theme, but aren't Christmas movies. I don't know off the top of my head. Because I can understand, like, if anti-Die Hard is a Christmas movie, people could put that as an argument, like, well, what about this movie? That takes place during Christmas and isn't about Christmas.
Yeah, isn't that the thing? Typically when a movie is set, like, around Christmas or on Christmas, it's a Christmas movie.
I would think.
Not a lot of other movies are just casually like, yeah, and it's Christmas.
That might have to be something that I need to look into, because maybe that isn't an actual argument, but it's not something I've really looked into. But alright, I think we have prattled on about Die Hard long enough. That, I'm going to say, put the stamp on it. Christmas movie, not a top-tier Christmas movie. You know, watch it with your friend. It's a good movie to watch with friends, not a good movie to watch with grandma.
Yeah, unless you have a hardcore grandma.
Now is the point in the evening where I will list off all of the fun contact things where you can reach us. You could follow us on the Twitter machine at CWTApod. You could follow me at Octopus, which is AWKTAPUS.
You can follow me at FunnyGirlTM, like trademark.
You could find us on the iTunes, on the SoundCloud, on the Stitcher Radio. Leave a rating, give a review, do whatever you feel like. You could also drop us a line, cwtapod@gmail.com, where you could tell us all about ways to conceal your gun and why you should start looking for shoes when you're running around barefoot killing terrorists.
Both very good things. It's like the Christmas song about buying the shoes, except it's Bruce Willis.
Next week, Kristen, we are going more modern with our movies to ring in the new year. It is not really as modern as... God, time really flies, doesn't it, Kristen?
Yeah, I guess, like, now that I am thinking about it, this is going to be our most recent movie that we do.
And it'll be a part of a multi-part series, which I think will keep you on your toes. You know, a little pukey radio tease for all 8 of you listening to the point.
Our 2 respective friends who listen to this.
To the point where the surprise isn't ruined, but doesn't matter. Next week, movies. For the Can We Talk About podcast, my name is Joe.
Hi, I'm Kristen.
And join us next week when we will talk about more movies.
Checks in the mail.